Last week, I attended the 93rd Annual Conference of Defense Associations, or CDA conference, at the landmark Chateau Laurier Hotel in Ottawa. Having personally attended 36 of these events, they are predictably a well-worn routine of senior military brass, politicians, and military academics convincing each other of the importance of national defense in Canada. Those allied military delegations that attend are like-minded, and the agreed-upon mutual threats are Russia, China, and Islamic extremists in a rotating order. There is always a presentation from a senior-ranking U.S. general, following which their Canadian counterparts heap praise upon our, quote, closest ally. It's time to target just how radically the global strategic situation has changed in just a few short weeks. During his first term, U.S. President Donald Trump verbally denounced NATO member states that failed to spend 2% of their gross domestic product, or their GDP, on defense.
I have been very, very direct in saying that NATO members must finally contribute and meet their financial obligations.
Trump repeatedly singled out Canada as being a laggard in this regard, and he controversially stated that he would not bring America's military might to defend a NATO member that was not spending their fair share.
I said that 7 years ago, and because of that, they paid hundreds of billions of dollars.
As offensive as those remarks may seem, the average attendee at the CDA annual conferences welcomed Trump's threats, believing it would help to force Canadian politicians to spend more on the military.
These are interesting times, and we are facing, I think, unique challenges. But I want to share with you that we're ready.
That was then. Things have changed rapidly and dramatically since Trump won re-election last November. For starters, Trump began his drumbeat rhetoric about annexing Canada into becoming the 51st U.S. state, and repeatedly referred to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as the governor. Trump explained that unlike the Panama Canal, which he intends to seize through military force, he would bring about the annexation of Canada through economic measures.
Because Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
In early February, just days after his inauguration, President Trump levied 25% tariffs on all Canadian and Mexican imports. He promptly lifted them and then reimposed them in early March, only to suspend them again until April 2nd. While it is off to a topsy-turvy start, the trade war has begun. Then, on Friday, February 28, Trump hosted Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House. It was supposed to be a prearranged deal to exchange U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals for a U.S. security guarantee to protect Ukraine. However, the photo op devolved into a public berating of Zelensky.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
And his abrupt expulsion from the Oval Office.
This is going to be great television, I will say that.
Trump subsequently canceled all U.S. military aid to Ukraine, stopped the provision of military intelligence to Ukraine, and called upon the UK to do the same. On Sunday, March the 2nd, Trudeau joined European leaders and Zelensky at a hastily convened meeting in the UK to try to find a way to keep Ukraine in the fight against Russia without the aid of the US. It was against this backdrop of uncertain allegiance among the key NATO allies that the stage was set for some emotional fireworks at this year's CDA conference. None were forthcoming. In a room packed with self-professed warriors, the collective agreement was seemingly to avoid mentioning the elephant in the room.
Throughout history, Canadian and American forces have fought side by side to defeat tyranny and advance the cause of freedom.
Even when U.S. General Gregory Guilhot, the commander of NORAD in North Command, took to the CDA stage, the gloves remained in place. General Guilhot is the very individual who would lead any armed annexation of Canada, and he was politely spared any question which might prove mildly discomforting. No mention was made of the logistics of such an annexation and the subsequent absorption of our military forces into the U.S. defense apparatus. Instead, the conference's threat focus remained that of Russia and China operating in the Arctic. Even as the CDA conference was still in session, Trump once again publicly cast doubt on his willingness to defend Washington's NATO allies, saying that he would not do so if they are not paying enough for their own defense. This time, however, Trump also cast baseless aspersions on NATO's reliability as an alliance.
And you know, the biggest problem I have with NATO, I really, I know the guys very well. They're friends of mine. But if the United States was in trouble and we called them, we said, we got a problem, France, we got a problem, a couple of others I won't mention. Do you think they're going to come and protect us? They're supposed to.
For the record, this is not a hypothetical question. The USA was attacked on 9/11/2001, and NATO did collectively come to the defense of our American ally. Canada may not spend 2% of GDP on defense, but for more than a decade, we punched above our weight in the war in Afghanistan, which was a direct response to the 9/11 terror attack. For Trump to question Canada's resolve, or any other NATO member's resolve, is an insult to the sacrifices which were made supporting the US. To threaten to annex us out of existence as a country is unconscionable. This has been On Target. I'm Scott Taylor.